All right, good Tuesday evening, everyone, and we do appreciate you joining us for what's going to be a condensed edition of this live stream we do on Wave News Extra here in the Now studio. But needless to say, as we'll begin with a look at our South Louisville Skytrack camera, enjoying the Christmas lights shining bright, and with the temperatures out there, certainly a little more pleasant to step out. And if you have any lights around your neighborhood, to go take a walk and enjoy those in person, as opposed to how much more frigid it was earlier this weekend. But thankfully, we can talk about the warming trend we're going to get to enjoy over the course of the week to come. Appreciate you joining us tonight. I'm Jose Sosaya. We've had a bit of a busy afternoon trying to cover a lot of stories that have been happening across our community. Among them, of course, what came in as a breaking update and a pretty urgent scene was of this fire. And you're going to see some of the video we were able to capture there at this intersection near Westport Road and Langdon Drive. When we got there, dozens of firefighters still actively trying to make sure everything, what had been under control, but just to make sure nothing else was going to get started. And so with that, I want to show you some of the video that photographer and I were able to get a little earlier in the evening. And by the way, all this started with the two-car crash that caused one of those two cars. It was actually a black SUV, Genesis brand. It hit the building that caught fire. It hit a gas line, and then that is what kick-started this entire nightmare scenario. And you could see the damage that was done, not just in the bottom of the first floor, but the water is still dripping late into the night. You could see that, just trying to make sure everything was soaked. The crash itself happened just a few minutes after 4. Thankfully, everybody was able to get out of the apartments without being injured. There was no one who had to be rescued, is what St. Matthew's fire chief confirmed to us. And very few people were actually stuck upstairs for them to have to knock on the door to go get them. In fact, the fire chief explaining that had it not been for an LMPD major who responded very quickly and noticed that the fire had started to rush upstairs even without protective equipment to make sure no one was trapped or stuck inside. A JCPS officer then coming in to provide support and just to do the check themselves to make sure no one needed any rescuing. When we got there, LG&E had said they turned off gas service to the area. By the time we left, there were still plenty of apartment buildings without any power on. And again, just to recap, the driver of the car that hit the gas line in the building, they were taken to the hospital. They should be okay. The driver of the second car, which is a smaller blue Nissan, they were given some medical treatment there at the crash site as well. And here we have the fire chief, I believe, Nick Clark with St. Matthew's Fire, discussing a little bit more about what played out and what really he described as a unique situation for him in his career.
It's community, right? So we talk about emergency response and police and fire and EMS and everybody work together on this scene in order to keep people safe. And that's what we're ultimately here for. And the police don't even have equipment to go into situations like that, and they're running up into it. So just a tremendous job from both LMPD and the JCPS police officer as well.
As I was driving up from Westport, after we got off work, I saw the lights blinking. I'm like, oh, that's something's going on. I thought someone got pulled over. And then as I got closer, I saw the big ladder truck right over here that's coming down right now. They were shooting water off. I'm like, well, that can't be good. I thought it was maybe AutoZone or Cox's outlet right here. But now as I got closer, the road was closed. And then I pulled into the shopping center to see the apartment complex on.
The man you just heard from right there is someone we met on our way out as it got pretty dark outside after sunset. His name's Bradley Fisher, and he was on his way about regular business. But he, too, like so many folks who got stuck in the traffic, police obviously trying to detour, keep people away from what was an active fire and just creating its own bottlenecks and just backlogs, people just simply trying to move around and get home. But again, just to recap, no other harm to anyone else done by the fires. And you mentioned, of course, just the shot of the ladder, and we were there kind of seeing some of the hose water still having to be sprayed from such a high angle to make sure everything was put out. We're going to dive into this a little bit deeper tonight on Wave News at 11. So hope you stick around for myself and all of our producing team and everyone involved with our reporters, just to make sure we'll share the latest insight and reaction from folks who were there witnessing the fire play out, the fire chief, much more to discuss a little later tonight as we do prepare that for you. Another huge story that began when we first got the confirmations from police and prosecutors, and has been pretty much on a lot of people's minds, was a pretty startling arrest, dominating a lot of what we've been discussing as far as the stories today, of a 36-year-old JCPS teacher at our last check behind bars after police say and accuse her of having sexual conversations with one of her fifth grade math students. Police say they arrested Sydney Graff just yesterday when she went to pick up that student at his home. LMPD saying this all happened yesterday because and as students were home from school from an NTI day, and that the reason for that being because it was so dangerously cold outside. Today in this report, Wave News reporter Fernando Garcia Francescini put this together. He explains why a Louisville group says incidents like these are unfortunately becoming more common in schools across Kentucky. A fair warning for folks joining us now on the live stream, and we do appreciate you joining us in this first part of our live stream together. But just to reiterate some of the details that Fernando's about to break down in this police investigation, soon to be whatever prosecutors lay out in a court, this is pretty disturbing. So just want to let you all know.
32, Sydney Graff.
Smyrna Elementary School fifth grade math teacher Sydney Graff is behind bars after police say she exploited a boy under the age of 12. LMPD says Graff was having sexual conversations online with one of her students on Monday while students were home on NTI. Police have screenshots and video recordings of the conversations that show the teacher's name and picture. According to LMPD, Graff had planned to meet the student and was arrested when she went to pick him up from his home. Graff was in jail court Tuesday morning, visibly upset.
You are charged with procuring or promoting use of a minor by electronic means. It's a C felony. I'm going to enter a plea of not guilty to that charge.
Shannon Moody with Kentucky Youth Advocates says parents should sit down with their children to talk about this issue.
Making sure that young people understand what's appropriate and what's not appropriate when you're talking to an adult about your body.
Moody says reducing the risk of sexual abuse for children should be a priority for the Kentucky legislature in 2026, particularly because she says inappropriate relationships between adults and students in school settings are becoming more common.
And technology kind of is a breeding ground for that. It generates the opportunity to have more access to students.
Our thanks to Fernando for this update in the report. Now, Graff's bond, you heard and saw the reaction there as the judge was having sort of the process play out for her. But her bond was set at $100,000 cash. JCPS says she has been reassigned out of a classroom. She's also been banned from using any social media or even having contact with the victim involved. And she's scheduled to be back in court next week, Friday, December 26th. So as we continue to kind of unpack some of the day's bigger stories, one that we first let you know was the confirmation of what could be a ripple effect for an entire community and for workers involved with Ford's investments and projects with battery technology. And so that's another huge story we've been continuing to follow. But in essence, we've confirmed that is what's happening. Big changes, at least when it comes to the Blue Oval SK battery park in Glendale, because Ford and SK on that South Korean company are parting ways. The original plan for the plant was to make the batteries that would have been used in Ford's new line of electric cars. But tonight, Wave News reporter Logan Perrone is sharing a couple more details in an ever-developing story on what's next for the facility in Glendale and the changes that are going to come as they will, or whatever changes would come here closer to the Louisville Metro.
Only a few months after the first electric vehicle battery rolled off the Blue Oval SK plant in Hardin County, the company is shifting gears. On Monday, Ford officials announced they will be repurposing the factory to make battery energy storage systems amid growing data center demand.
Some difficult steps must be taken, including the end of all Blue Oval SK positions in Kentucky.
CEO Michael Adams informed the company's 1,600 employees that layoffs would happen through a video. Those workers will remain on the job for 60 days as required by federal law.
I understand that this is very hard to hear, especially at this time of the year. Please know your dedication and endless hard work have been evident every day.
Hardin County Judge Executive Keith Tall writing in a social media post, in part, "My focus is to do whatever possible to help our impacted citizens have the support and resources they need to find new jobs. We are in communication with Ford, state officials, and other stakeholders as additional details become available." Louisville Mayor Greenberg called the news disappointing and frustrating.
You're seeing what happens with the change in federal policies away from the support of electric vehicles and the impact that it has on hardworking families, on investments in our community.
However, it's not the end of the road for Ford's electric vehicle production in Kentucky with a $2 billion retooling of the Fern Valley Road plant. Workers at the facility confirmed to Wave that Wednesday is the last day of work before the months-long process begins.
And we hope, for the best. We think there's great opportunity still for Ford in this community.
Our thanks to Logan Perone for that update. As for the Glendale facility that Ford runs, it says it plans to add 2,100 jobs at that site. Whatever carryover or emerging there might be for the Blue Oval employees, if they have to reapply for these positions, is something we're going to stay on top of and try to get some of those answers. But that is 500 more projected job fillings than their current workforce when it comes to Blue Oval. You saw the mention there of the post that Judge Executive. Ooh, I hope I was not losing that microphone, so excuse me, everybody. Judge Executive Tall saying, quote, "The timeline on this transitional phase for hiring is not clear, but some sources indicate it could still take an 18-month process." All right, we're going to reset to go over some more stories, so stick around. We'll be right back with much more of tonight's Wave News Extra. All right, everyone, welcome back into Wave News Extra. We have an update on some more stories to share with you that we are continuing to follow, of course. In this case, taking you inside of a courtroom, we have new information on the deadly Kentucky State University shooting after a detective testified in court today that Jacob Bard admitted to being the shooter. Even still, Bard's attorney argued that Bard was acting in self-defense. The 48-year-old is accused of shooting and killing 19-year-old Dejon Darrell Fox Jr. on campus back just December 9th. Detective Laura Marco works with Frankfurt Police, and today in court, Marco confirmed, at least according to her testimony, that Bart and his wife were on campus to remove their sons from the school because they had ongoing safety concerns, saying the family requested meetings with campus police and the university's dean to talk about these safety issues. However, Marco testified that security camera video that they've looked at shows, quote, multiple people attacking each other prior to the shooting, and said that in the video, the shooting victims were not seen attacking Bart's son. Here, we're going to take a listen as she describes more of what she says she saw about the fight.
His son and the one that fell with his son, they were beating the victim on the ground out in the hallway.
And was that victim, is he somebody associated with the perpetrators of the incident that happened in Florida?
He was one of the guys on top of them.
Bart is also accused of shooting a second person who's reported to not be in critical care right now, but is stabilized a little bit at this time. The judge today also found probable cause, sending the case now to a grand jury. Bart's bond was set at $1 million. As we continue to follow more stories, things we've been checking in on for years, actually, in this case, a man who pulled the trigger in a deadly shooting back in 2023 here in Louisville. Well, we have learned he's going to spend the rest of his life behind bars. This is video from back when this case involved the murder of 38-year-old Jeffrey Bizzle, and Timothy Wright is the one now held responsible. Bizzle was found shot to death near South First and Jacob back June of 23. A jury has found Wright guilty of Bizzle's murder just last week, recommending he be sentenced to life in prison. The judge agreed. So under the sentence, Wright is not eligible for parole or even shock probation. Coming back here into the studio in more stories that our Wave News reporting team has been checking in on, perhaps the fallout of so much that happened over the weekend and sort of this coalescing of two events that, at least for Mayor Craig Greenberg, in talking to reporters today, had some special significance to him, was what happened at Brown University. And so we're going to start with sort of what he was talking to the media today about, that he would like Metro to take some safety precautions. And that is the case at the annual menorah lighting that was happening a little earlier in this evening, as well as other events. But his remarks are important in the context of an anti-Semitic mass shooting at Bondi Beach out in Sydney, all the way across the world in Australia, and the deadly shootings that happened at Brown University. Again, the context that Greenberg's son is a student at the school. So Wave News reporter David Mattingly heard the mayor talking personally, as he put it, about the impact of the violence.
Greenberg speaks not just as a public official, but as a father and a victim after his family again experiences gun violence.
It's flabbergasting to me that more legislators aren't working together to do something about this.
Greenberg's youngest son, a junior at Brown University, knew one of the victims as a gunman killed 2 and wounded 9 others on campus.
Last night was an incredibly scary, long and tough night for Rachel and me.
And Greenberg did not hide his frustration as he spoke out on social media.
And I'm hopeful that this horrific school shooting finally moves our country one step closer to doing something to prevent these tragic acts of gun violence from happening over and over again throughout America.
In 2022, Greenberg himself barely escaped unharmed after a gunman fired shots in his campaign office. Afterward, his first public comments were about being with his family.
Mostly right now, I just want to get home to my wife and sons and give them a hug.
It was a hug the Greenbergs repeated Monday with their son as he came home from college. Greenberg describes still feeling numb from his family's latest experience.
I know Ben, this is now the second act of gun violence that he's had to experience in a really personal way over the past 3.5 years. That's too many for any young person. That's too many for any person.
Our David Mattingly reporting there, and Greenberg again making his public comments earlier today, repeating his appeal to the state legislature for lawmakers at that level in the state house and senate to allow the city and metro government to pass its own gun laws. In Greenberg's argument he's making to prevent more of this future violence. But we know, again, the reporting that at the state level, the majority of lawmakers wanting the state to A, exercise that authority, and B, not grant at a municipal or city level to enact those restrictions for gun access. So certainly something we'll continue to follow wherever the story there may go. As we're about to hit 8:25 here on this is it Tuesday night? Sometimes the days do blend together, folks, and I know Christmas is coming up very soon as well. So it is, yes, Tuesday the 16th. We're going to reset to go over some stories. By the way, I would encourage you to join us tonight on Wave News at 11 because, again, in the context of unfortunately what happened in Australia and targeting the Jewish community there and inviting people to come join down at 4th Street for the annual menorah lighting. Our Julie Richardson went down there to talk to just members of the Jewish community, but also just Metro families and people of goodwill, just discussing what it meant to come together on a holiday that means a lot to people and sort of showing that support in that way. And so Julie is going to have something to share by a similar Hanukkah event meeting at 4th Street Live, hoping that it was their largest turnout and their largest footprint of a celebration yet. We're going to be right back with more stories, though, coming up after this commercial break on Wave News Extra. As we continue our live stream in the Wave Now studio for tonight's edition of Wave News Extra, a bit of a darker shade of holiday lighting outside right now, and a nice change in the color light show as we take a look from our SkyTrack camera, observing the Kentucky Kingdom display and enjoying the quintessential classic lights that we all love to, go out and admire, and much nicer weather, I will say. Reminder that we're going to get to discuss a little bit more of our warming trend when you join us tonight on Wave News at 11. The storm tracking team going to let you know exactly what to expect day by day, at least in the shorter term forecast. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Harned. And we're going to be happy to hear exactly what he has to say so we can look forward a little closer to the big holiday week, at least the action-packed one for a lot of folks next week. An update tonight in this special election we've been following ever since then State Senator David Yates was appointed Jefferson County Clerk. Well, that left a vacant seat. Folks voters registered for the Senate District 37, making their voices heard tonight. What we're going to read is an unofficial result because the county clerk's office still going to want to make sure dot their I's, cross their T's to make sure everything has been above board and accounted for. But at least the unofficial result tonight is that candidate Gary Clemens won this three-way election with 73% of the vote over his opponents, Calvin Leach and Wendy Higdon. Clemens putting out a statement tonight that kind of lays out a bit of his policy focus, his agenda focus, as he's ideally now prepared to take on this role to represent State Senate Seat 37. He says he spent his life working alongside people who keep Louisville running in factories, shops, and jobs important to neighborhoods, union or not. Explaining a little bit more about his background and some support from unions as well, with the United Steelworkers District 8 office, their director, saying that Clemens was a great candidate, lived in South Louisville his entire life, that they can't wait to see him get to Frankfort for the 2026 session. He's going to be sworn in that first day of the session in Frankfort, along with those colleagues. And again, just that count about the percentage of the votes that did go to him unofficially tonight. Gary Clemens winning with 73% of the vote, and arguably not necessarily the largest turnout. David Yates' office saying that at least the numbers showed 75,000 voters are registered to State Senate District 37, but the total vote number not necessarily that high at all. Last I checked, it was sitting below the 6,000 total vote mark in early voting and other kinds of ballot options for folks. Certainly something, again, as we'll wait for that official confirmation from the county clerk's office, we will let you know. All right. Moving on to more stories for you tonight. In less than a month, actually, in the context of who's going to go to Frankfurt, but lawmakers are going to go start the 2026 general session. One of the bigger topics on the agenda is going to be the state's budget over the next 3 years. Well, today, a group of financial experts met to discuss the future of state funds. Their report said Kentucky's forecasting to lose growth, though, in the fiscal year 2026, but then grow again in 27 and 2028. One of the biggest factors lawmakers look at when considering their budget is what's called the rainy day fund. Financial experts claim these funds are being spent faster than the state right now can save, which means there's less room for funds to be moved around within the state budget.
The peak of the rainy day fund was about 5.2 billion. We spent down about 3.1, and then we appropriated about 1.1. So the new balance, if everything goes according to the spending plans that they had, would be about 3.2 million. We appropriated some money, and then we appropriated money to be put back. But the putback was a little bit smaller than the appropriated amount. So balances are falling, and the forecast is falling.
Again, a reminder, the 2026 general session is scheduled to begin on January 6th, so not long after the new year does begin. Coming back to the Metro, maybe you've seen a video of this unfortunate fall, and it could have been a much worse outcome out at those bleachers. But tonight we've learned a lawsuit's been filed against the parties we're going to break down for you, but essentially the lawsuit filed after this bleacher rail collapsed in a post-game celebration at Wagner High School. So you remember the video that was taken. This happened back in October after St. X pulled off a win against their rival Trinity during a regional soccer match. So now a group of St. X parents are suing the bleacher maker and Jefferson County Public Schools. They're filing claims negligence, breach of warranty, among other complaints. And we have records the Wave troubleshooters obtained. We've disclosed and reported on that. And one of those records was an engineering analysis that actually blamed the students' behavior for overloading what was considered the strength limit of that particular rail. The engineering firm involved says it watched the videos that, much like you're seeing the videos right now showing the collapse, but the firm said there were 2 rows of students pushing on the railing from above, as well as students who pulled on it from down below in the field. They say that force overstressed what was designed to be the max strength for this engineering and the structure. So we have reached out, by the way, to the bleacher maker and to JCPS for comment. The school district is the one who has replied, but they say they do not comment on pending lawsuits. All right. At 8:34, what we're going to end on tonight, folks, on this live stream is a bit of a more holiday themed. The very last thing we're going to show you is the culmination of all of your hard work, your generosity, your stepping up on weekends to find gifts for so many deserving kids across Louisville and Southern Indiana for our Angel Tree program and that distribution. We're going to take you inside to show you just how extensive this support and this showing of kindness has been for this 2025 Christmas season. So we can't wait to show you that before we take a quick break to discuss some more holiday themed stories, but we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. All right, everybody, we're almost there to round out tonight's live stream, and we appreciate you joining us here in the Wave Now studio. Thankfully, out in Oldham County, this is a story with a happy ending. A miniature donkey, well, it was rescued after it got stranded out on a frozen pond. Definitely needed to warm up. Her name is May. She was rescued, and it was thanks to a tag team effort from the Peewee Valley Fire Department, Ballardsville Fire, and Oldham County Animal Control. So together, these rescuers used a boat, winch, and several taglines to get May back on land. She was taken back to her stall where her owner continued to try to keep her as warm as possible, and she appeared to be pretty good despite the freezing temperatures. And don't know if this will lure her or keep her away from water for some time being, but thankfully we know that now May is safe and warm to enjoy the rest of her time and her year. So the holiday season, we know, still underway, but Kentucky Fish and Wildlife, just in case you're wondering what to do once you're done with your Christmas tree, well, Fish and Wildlife are saying you could actually donate your real trees to the fish. This is part of what they're calling their annual Christmas for the Fishes program. If you haven't heard of it before, the trees themselves can help underwater habitats thrive in places like lakes and reservoirs all across Kentucky. So if that was something you were willing or wanting to do, you can donate your real Christmas trees. The window is literally the day after Christmas. So right on December 26th, and then available through January 16th at 37 drop-off sites across the Commonwealth. We'll likely have the places you could take those to on wave3.com. So just a reminder, a lot of what you can look for in much more detail we've got ready for you on our website, wave3.com. Now, speaking of the holiday season, perhaps folks trying to do their best to budget because with recent economic and labor data showing that more people just aren't necessarily getting the jobs they're looking for. Well, that might mean there's going to be less spending during the holiday season. A new poll found more than half of Americans who answered the poll plan to actually cut back on their holiday gift giving this season. NBC News ran this poll reporting 55% of U.S. adults plan to reduce the amount they spend on presents this year compared to last year of 2024. 9% of people who answered say they'll fork over more, while just over 1/3 say that spending, in their case, should be about the same. Now, in a separate question, 43% of those who answered said they do plan to cut back on presents and on all other Christmas spending for the season, while 57% of folks say overall holiday expenditures are going to hold steady. And worth just noting, as we'll come back here into the studio, that perhaps wherever that budget might have fallen for a lot of you folks who joined our Angel Tree campaign this season, you say your gift giving, your generosity, your ability to make time to find these items that so many kids of age ranges, babies all the way to 12-year-olds had been asking for really over the last few weeks. A lot of you, thousands of you have been going out shopping for gifts to donate to the Angel Tree program. With your help, Wave News was able to raise more than $117,000. That money in and of itself was used to help buy even more gifts that weren't covered as of yet for Angel Tree children. Today was finally distribution day to make sure everything got delivered right on time before next week. Wave News reporter Kirsten Foote stopped by the warehouse the Salvation Army calls its Joy Center.
We are in the middle of Santa's workshop, surrounded by gifts and gifts and gifts, and this is all going to deserving families right here in Wave Country. I'm here with Major Mark Hunter with the Salvation Army, and today is distribution day for the Angel Tree program. After months of gathering gifts and whatnot, today is a really special day. Tell us a little bit about that.
This is the day that we work for right here. It's a great day whenever we are able to come and meet the families and be able to hand off we call joy. This is the Joy Center, and we want people to have a bag full of joy. And we've seen tons of smiles today. We've seen some tears of joy. We've seen some shocked faces. They were amazed at what they got today.
Absolutely. And you could say that these bags here are filled with joy because they're going to go under people's Christmas trees this year and give family a Christmas. What is it like to be a part of this and just year after year and seeing people get these gifts?
It's so rewarding to know that we're a part of this, and that families would not have had Christmas had it not been for the work of the Salvation Army and its many partners. We're so grateful for the community that comes together and trusts the Salvation Army to be able to do things like this. But it means a lot to know that a child's going to wake up in just a few days, go to the Christmas tree, and there is something special, and they're going to be so happy.
And how many angels are there this year? I know that needs continue to grow. What are we looking at for numbers this year?
So for our viewing area, it's a little over 12,000.
Wow.
That's a lot of children. That's a lot of happy faces and happy families. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And it's just kind of like an organized chaos here. This is day one of distribution day. How many more days do you have left of distribution day?
So we have 3 more days, 2 more big days, and then Friday is a smaller day when we do our senior angels.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
It's wonderful work. And all of these gifts here, they're going to fly off the shelves down to people's Christmas trees. It's such a special event and a special time of year. Reporting from the Salvation Army, Kirsten Foote, Wave News.
Certainly, again, want to thank you all who made a difference to grab an Angel Tree tag and get the gifts for your, you being the guardian angel for whoever that kid was out there across the metro here in Louisville and Southern Indiana. A reminder, folks, also in the stories that we work to report and share with you on a night in and night out basis, all that is updated for you again on our homepage, wave3.com. Set up those push alerts to be sent right to your phone when you download the free Wave News app, the free Wave Weather app, all here at your fingertips. Really is the big stories, here locally across Kentucky and Indiana, and even perhaps in the case of some big stories as they do develop nationally and internationally. Some stuff that you might see being reported on tonight by the big news channels across what's happening in a very busy time of year. We'll make sure to keep you as up to date as possible. Want to shout out those of you who are joining us tonight on the Wave Now app for your smart TV devices. That's Apple, Fire, Roku, and also the folks joining us right now, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and X. This is another opportunity for you all to spend some time with us as we offer a different way, on your smart devices or wherever else you want to make sure that you're just abreast of what's going on across our community, the big stories that we are following and do want to share with you. And we do appreciate your time. I'm Jose Sosaya. We say, barring anything else that's breaking news or kind of takes us off our normal schedule, we'll be back here with another live stream of the day's big stories and continuing investigations and updates at 8:05 tomorrow. And we hope to catch you tonight on Wave News at 11. Until then, take care. We'll see you soon.